Okay, let's continue our discussion on the topic. So far we just started talking about Kafka. We talked about topic, which just means a jargon for stream of the data. Also, we said another jargon was broker. So do you guys remember what was broker means? So broker is the technical term for server. So now we keep talking about those concepts and jargons, and then we start working with actual Kafka environment. So we have hands-on experiences, but within the hands-on experiences, you see some terms. So before getting confused with those terms, we should know what those terms will mean in our hands-on experiences. Oh, having said that, so also we talk about partitions. So partition in Kafka is exactly similar to your computer partition. So your hard drives is divided on several sections. So, and whenever you send some data in your PC, it would be recorded on sub-partitions randomly. So your hard drive decides how to, the fastest way for read and writing. So it just distributed randomly among partitions. So let's say, as it happened for Sahan, so if your hard drives get broken, let's say one of your partitions gets broken, so you don't have access to data of that partition. Maybe sometime because of electricity shock or some physical shock. So especially the older version of hard drive, like HDD technology, so it's very prone to shocks, so prone to get broken. But the new SSD is less prone to those kind of shocks. So having said that, so you know that what does broker, partition, and topic means. Look at this slide. So topic A, for topic A, I have partition 0, 1, 2. For topic 2, again, topic just means a stream of data. I have partition 1 and 0. So it started from naming from 0. So do you think, do I have resilient and fault tolerance here? So what does it mean? Let's say broker 102 or 103. Let's say 102 or 101. If for some reasons I lose power or the server gets broken, do you think I lose my data or still have access to all of my data? So yes means I lose or I still have? Yes, but I think if you look at the partition name, so I divided my data stream in 3 sections. If I lose 1 or 2, it means I lose all of information partition 2 for stream for topic A, and also partition 0 for topic B. I don't have multiple copies. I just divided into 3 sections. So if I lose broker 1 or 2, which means that's just a server, so I lose third of topic A information and half of topic 2 information. So indeed, this is not a good design, especially if you are working with Hadoop ecosystem, because the point of Hadoop ecosystem is not just being able to work with a large amount of data, also you should have fault tolerance or resilience. So here we don't have a tolerance. If we see a fault in broker 1 or 2, we lose a lot about that. Look at here. For topic A, I just have one partition with the ID of 0. And for topic, sorry, I have both a partition 1 and 0. So I just look at. So yeah, here for topic A, I have 2 partitions, partition 1 and partition 0. And both of them are copied in 2 different brokers. So in case I lose broker 1 or 2, in case of having any fault, look, I still have the first part of topic 1, which is in partition 0, and the second half, which is in partition 1, is in broker 1 or 3. So here I have a fault tolerance. In case of a fault, my system can tolerate. Yeah. So I think last class I talked about the number of brokers, but usually at least 3 is recommended. I think also later I talk about that. So let's say why people say 3 brokers, because let's say once in a time, maybe you need a maintenance. So let's say you put one of your brokers out of circuit. So you have 2. And in that maintenance time, you still want to have a tolerance. So in case one of the brokers, you have a fault in one of the brokers, you should at least have one broker that can take care of your business. In that situation, maybe each broker should at least have a whole of your data, maybe different partitions. So there's 2 other jargons. I think you already remember what the Zookeeper means. Does anyone remember the role of Zookeeper in Hadoop ecosystem in general? It's like an operating system. It just handles all of the jobs in Hadoop ecosystem, including Kafka. So we also talk about producers, consumers, brokers. So all of them are managed by Zookeeper. So we also have another term, which is ISR. It just means in-sync replica. So usually when you divide your data in different partitions over your brokers, so one copy is a leading copy, the other are ISR or in-sync replica. So it just means your Zookeeper has a preference in terms of accessing to a partition copy. So if the leading copy has any issue, it checks the ISR and see like what are the other replicas, so you can just move to their replica. So later on, you also see the leader or leading and also ISR terms. So it just means you have a main copy and also you have other copies of your data. Okay, I give you 1 or 2 minutes in case you have questions or wants to put comments on your slides, then I go to the next slide. So having the advantage of Zookeeper, you don't need to take care of the idea of partitions, brokers and the topics that you are producing or consuming. So again, producer means the part that produces the data stream. Consumer is the part that uses the data stream. So in case, it's better to, if you identify the partitions, Otherwise, your data is distributed randomly. So you can exactly identify your data should go to which partition, or just let Zookeeper decide which partitions that should have a copy of your data. We have another term, which is acknowledgement. We also show with ACKS or X. So we have acknowledgement 0, 1, and all. It just basically checks for if your data is successfully received or not. Having said that, acknowledgement 0 means producer won't wait for acknowledgement. So it won't check if data is actually received by consumer. So there is a lot of error could happen, but usually in those cases, maybe you don't care if you lose some part of your data. It's much faster because you don't wait for acknowledgement from consumer if they actually receive that data package. So another one is acknowledgement 1. It just means your producer waits for a leading copy or leading consumer to see if the data received or not. It doesn't check with the replicas. And acknowledgement all, which is the most time consuming, your basically your producer checks with all of the consumers to see if all of them receive the data or not. So it's wait for a lot of correspondences. So usually when it's the default is acknowledgement 1, it just check with the leading consumer, but all this is for the cases that data security and like you are looking for a good amount of resilience. Okay, I will talk about the keys. So you can identify your data distributed to which key, which partition. So there's a partition key and which you can easily identify. Again, similar to producers, consumers are managed by Zookeeper. So in case your consumer missed some part of the data or basically gets out of circuit, when it comes back, it can understand up to which point your consumer received the messages by offset number. So offset number just means the order of the data which is sent. So your consumer has an offset ID and can later check with the producer and the topics and just keep receiving the remaining of messages that it missed. So we also have the concept of consumer groups. You can set your consumers or data receivers in several groups, and usually each consumer takes care of one partition. So if you have your consumers more than partitions, at each time, at least one of them is idle for inactive. I think I already talked about the concept of offset. Offset just means your stream order. So your stream is divided on several packages. Each package has an ID number, which the jargon term for those IDs is offset. No worries. I know it could be a little fuzzy, but later when we do hands-on experiences, those replicas like offset, all of them makes more sense. Also, we have 3 delivery semantics for consumers. So let me read from them. So one of the semantics at most once. It means just offsets are committed as soon as messages are received. At least once, which usually we prefer, is offset are committed after the message is processed. So if the message goes wrong, the message will be recovered when you get back to the certificate and read it again. And the most efficient one is at exactly once. It's just for the time that two Kafka applications work with each other, so, it's the most efficient and fastest one. As I said, Kafka works with other applications from other systems. Let's say you can connect Twitter data, your personal text stream, stock data, all the financial data. So usually at most once and at least once, it's for those cases that you work with external resources or external producers, but it's just Kafka to Kafka, exactly once is enough. We have another Kafka jargon, which is Bootstrap server. So let's say you have a client, Kafka client. So you just send, you make a connection with one of the brokers among the Bootstrap. Bootstrap just means there's a cluster of brokers. So your client just connects to one of them, and that broker sends the information of all the other brokers. And anytime your client, if it needs data of a certain partition that just needs one of the brokers, it can directly connect to that broker. So basically, it just means your client can efficiently work with brokers, and it's just for bringing more resilience. So in case your data divided on several brokers and some of them get out of the circuit, so your client, since it's already connected with one of them, can automatically connect to other brokers and process the data. So we already talked about Zookeeper today in previous classes. Again, if I be too simplistic, it's just like an operating system. So it manages all the brokers, all the partitions, the connection that your client makes with your Kafka, manage all of the data consumers and producers. And usually it has similar to brokers, it also has a leading server and also has some replicas for bringing resilience. So this just shows you a simple ecosystem map or simple Zookeeper sample, which you have a leader server and also some followers. So again, as I just repeated multiple times, these having some these replications and basically investing on several servers just for resilience in your system, which is one of the major goals of Hadoop ecosystem. Okay, so let's review what we had for so far about Kafka. So we talked about producers. Producers work with the brokers based on round robin concept. It just means your data is basically distributed randomly among the brokers. So round robin just means random assignment. Your producer can connect to the partitions and brokers based on certain IDs that you can identify. It could be completely random. We also talk about the acknowledgement strategy. It just means verifying if your if the data is received by producer in different ways. We had some other jargons like topics, partitions, replications, partition leader, and insect replicas today, and also you understand what this offset means. We also talk about the other semantic like at least once, at most once, and these are just very basics of Kafka. I know might be a little fuzzy. So we need to play with that and have some hands-on experiences. So those jargons now would make more sense. Otherwise, it's kind of fuzzy and maybe you cannot make that much of connection with them. Yeah. So it was the first part, which is kind of more boring, but in case, would you guys have questions about the concepts that we reviewed? So in case if you want to go more in depth, especially if you think in your company, you might work with the Kafka more. So just Google Kafka Apache. So Kafka Apache. So here you can find documentations and more on like some codes and concepts. So for today, I just worked with the Kafka, but even if you don't have time, I share the video later. So for some of the Kafka manipulations, you need to also know a little bit of Zookeeper, especially for Windows systems. So this Kafka is developed over Linux, as there is a good compatibility with the Windows systems, but for some of the interaction, you also need to know a little bit of Zookeeper. Here you can find a very good documentations, especially how to integrate several streams with your Kafka client and how to process, how to manage your data. Especially if you are looking for basically online predictions, I highly recommend to spend more time in Kafka. Unfortunately, we don't have that much of time to spend on Kafka. I think it needs at least half of semester, which is way over our time affordability, but it's really good, an interesting topic to invest on. Okay, so let's go to our hands-on experiences. Please open your second PowerPoint. This is about Kafka Lab. Also, I put some, if you look at your model, I also put some Kafka commands. So Kafka Lab commands. So I put some of the commands in the PowerPoint, but it might, because of some font issue, and because like PowerPoint can sometimes screw the commands on font. So it's better copy and paste from that text file. Again, these are just very basic Kafka commands. Hopefully later on, I share the video later. I mean, and I know this is a little above this class level, but I think it's good to have some hands-on experiences. So especially if you end up working with large companies, when they talk about the stream of the data and like how to work with the Kafka, it shouldn't be strange for you. And about the commands, as long as you know the general idea, you can just Google the commands, Kafka commands, or look at documentation and just use it. If you're, I'm pretty sure all of you are in analytics domain. So the next level on top of Kafka is just how to use machine learning work with the stream of data and make on-time predictions. This is a very high-level concept that there's not that much of people working on. I'll give you one more minute if you need to download those commands and also PowerPoint. So who knows about Franz Kafka? He's I think, yeah, he's a German novelist, but I think he's from Czechia. Kafka is very famous on short stories, and I'm pretty sure you will love it if you read his short stories. They're really interesting. So the main developer of Kafka was inspired by basically his novels, and maybe he considers the messages, who knows, but it's the name, he named this platform after Kafka. Okay, so first we learn how to install Kafka in our basically PC. So if you need to download the latest version of Java, but if you already installed Hadoop and Spark, you don't do that, because there is a compatibility issue. Not all the Javas are compatible with all Hadoop, Spark, and all Kafkas. So if you already did that, that's fine. If it's first time you want to do this platform, just install the latest version. If you already erase your Java, Hadoop, and Spark, please go back to the documentation and read the exact Java version that I said. If you do otherwise, you might get some random errors. All Hadoop ecosystem are built over Java core. So even sometimes, if you want to do some fast processing, maybe you need to know Java and basically go to the core of Hadoop ecosystem and play around it. It's not necessary, but I just want to tell you this is how they built the Hadoop ecosystem. And Kafka is just one of those platforms on top of that Hadoop core. So if you want to follow and have all of those ecosystems to be in good shape, please go to Kafka Apache org and go to download. So version 3 is for the latest Java version. But if you do install Kafka 3, you cannot work with the Hadoop and Spark that we learned. So just go down and download Kafka 281 over Scala 230. So you click on this link. Look at the extension, it's TGZ. Is it like a Linux-based extension? But if you have WinRAR, which I put the link for WinRAR, you can unzip TGZ extension even in your Windows. I give you like 10 minutes if you need to download WinRAR, which is a free software, and also download Kafka 2.8 over Scala 230. And just, if you already WinRAR, you don't have to install it, but after download, please just unzip it. Okay, while your friends are downloading the software and unzip it, in case you have questions, you can also ask me. But you have like 10 minutes to do that. Just unzip it. Yeah, unzip it and Let me show you. So yeah, when you unzip it, you can also do that. So just copy all of the folders into C on the C backslash Kafka. So if you look at my Kafka folder, I put all of the main Kafka things here. Also, I made a data folder, which in data folder, I have 2 folders of Kafka and Zookeeper. So you don't have to do exactly like me, but my remaining codes are based on how I did it. So if you follow where did I copy and where I made data folder, you can just copy and paste my codes. Other than that, maybe you need to change some of your codes. Okay, so you have 10 minutes. Download, install, unzip, put C, Kafka, and then data. And within data, you need to create 2 folders of Kafka and Zookeeper. And this is one of the lightest Hadoop ecosystem platforms. So no worries, if even your system is old, probably it can handle it.
So right now, the Kafka and Zookeeper folder are empty.
Yeah, because you create by your own, so it should be empty. Yeah. So basically, these 2 folders, Kafka and Zookeeper folder, keeps the logs of your file. So later on, if you had some issues, you can just go there and check those logs and files. Everything would be kept in these 2 folders. Nothing would be there. These are just 2 locations that save. Yeah. Yeah, and create the data folder. Data folder, even within that data folder, create 2 folders of Kafka and Zookeeper. Yeah, look at this monitor. So see Kafka. So within Kafka, you have so many folders, and you need to make a data folder, and within that data folder, create Kafka and Zookeeper. So again, later on we run some codes. If you get some errors, it's just most likely just the Java incompatibility. So you need to go back to the previous slides and see what Java version I used. I think. So look at the document. I mean, if you have time. So I think here they said something about Java. Let me see. Okay, under 3, look at the Kafka. It said depreciation of support Java 8 and Scala 2.12. So so it just means if you have Java version 8 and older, it won't be supported by Kafka 3. So if you want to have Kafka 3, you need to have the newest version of Java. But again, it causes some incompatibility with Hadoop and Spark. Based on my experiences, most of the time when you have some errors that you cannot figure out what does it mean, random errors, usually they are because of incompatibility. Maybe you look at some tutorials over the internet, they made it like 2 years ago, and that 2 years ago they built it over some other software like Java, which are not supported now. So no worries, if you see some random errors that you cannot figure out, it's usually because incompatibility. Yeah, it shouldn't be your fault. Okay, while you're installing, also, as I said, I'm teaching Power BI. So in case you're interested, you can attend the evening class. If you are not, I share the YouTube link and the files, so you can also look at those files. So the way I teach Power BI is through challenges. So I give them some challenges, and they try to solve those challenges and learn while doing that. So if you already work with Tableau, Power BI usually is much easier even than Tableau. During break, maybe you can read his short stories. Kafka, that's really good short stories. I strongly recommend to read that in your spare time. So people in the class, could you be able to do that? Download, unzip, and create, okay? Yeah? Yeah, it's simply everyone. So, okay. So now, similar to Hadoop and Spark, we need to have two changes. Do you guys remember the goal of environment variables? Why we create environment variables? Katie, you told me one time, so could you remember what you said previously? So we go to Windows environment and put some addresses, right? So yeah, the goal is like when you type a command in CMD, so your Windows can understand where to find those commands. So those commands are related to a executable file, but when you just type in the CMD command prompt, Windows doesn't know where is that. So, but if you introduce the address to the Windows can easily find those commands. Sometimes for some programs like Python, so when you just click next, Python installer automatically put the address into the environment variable. For some of them, you should put the address manually, like Kafka or Hadoop or Spark. The second change that you need to do, similar to Hadoop and Spark, you need to go to properties file and put some addresses. So because also Kafka, Hadoop, and Spark has several sections, those sections needs to find each other. So we tell them how you can find each other. So having said that, go to, we should change two files. One of them Zookeeper properties, and the one server properties. You can copy and paste from PowerPoint, but I think, let's see if I put, yeah. So you need to go to Zookeeper properties. It's within Kafka data, sorry, it's Zookeeper properties. So, and here I said, where is that? So let's close this one. So it's within a config directory. So you go to Kafka config Zookeeper properties. So for opening that, just do right click, open with, and select Notepad. So when you select, there is a section data dir equals something. So this section for you should be different. So what should you paste there? Here, just paste this address. Data dir equal copy. Come to Zookeeper properties and just paste it here. So just one line. We just want to say where should you put your log files. After doing that, you should save the file, then find server properties. Again, right click, open with, Notepad. So let me find it. Yeah, change like dir to this address. How? Here I put the code. So just copy. Here, select this section and paste it here. Then save the file and exit. Okay, now we change our properties file or configuration file. Now we need to put this, some addresses into your environment variables. So how you find environment variables? Here, type environment. And the first one, edit the system environment variables. Then click on environment variables. Then within environment variable, select path. After selecting path, just select edit. Now, what should you do? Just put these two addresses one by one within your environment variable. So one of them is Kafka bin Windows, and the one Windows System 32 WBM or WBM. So if you look at my environment variables, I have is mine. Yeah, look at here, Kafka bin Windows. Also, I have another address which is Windows System 32 WBM. So you can here click on new and just paste the addresses here. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we did the required changes. We introduced addresses to configuration files and also environment files. Just keep in mind, again, let me repeat it. If you install any software, any game, like as I said, Python R, when you click next, they automatically put the address somewhere here. But for some softwares, or usually the advanced one, you should know what are the addresses that you should put the environment variable. Let me show my environment variable again, so it hopefully makes more sense for you. Let me go to path. Look, one of them is for Python. Do you see? Python something. So this is like when I just press next access, it goes there. Some are Spark and Hadoop that you remember. And I have other softwares, but, or for example, GitHub also is my environment variables. So the upper part is for user. The lower part is for all the people who use your PC. So it said system variables. Still here, I have one for Scala, one for Java, Putty, even for Putty, I have one here. Okay, having said that, let's run Kafka. Kafka should run on top of Zookeeper, so you should have access Zookeeper running. If you look at this text file, I have one section for Zookeeper. So just copy whole of the line, go to command prompt, and just paste it here and press enter. That's fine. Any should be fine. So after your Zookeeper is running, go to the second line, start the brokers, copy the whole of the line, open another command prompt, and paste it here. So if it shut down after you paste it here, it's just Java compatibility issue. So it shouldn't shut down after pasting this Kafka server start. Yeah, I put even the error here. So you need to see if the installed Java is compatible with your Kafka. Also, keep in mind, anytime if you want to exit, let's say you want to shut down the server, just press Ctrl+C together. Sometimes you need to wait a little bit. It's asking me, do you want to really terminate? If I press yes, it just terminates. So it's how you terminate these services. I want to run it back, so I type the commands again and just run my Kafka again. But anytime for Zookeeper, Kafka, or most of Hadoop platforms, whenever you want to stop the server, just press Ctrl C and then say yes, and you shut down the service. You can simply close it, but usually people don't recommend just close the command prompt. Sometimes it just brings some problems. Okay, now we want to create some topics. Does anyone remember what this topic means in Kafka? You're very close. New data stream, like tweets stream, comments stream. So it has several sections. So Kafka topics create. First is about the host name and port, which the port is optional, but keep in mind, if your port is busy somewhere else with another software, you get some error. Host name is 127.0.0.1. It just means local host or your own system. Topic is an arbitrary name for data stream. Also, you identify number of partitions and also replication factor. So again, replication factor is for more resilience. So if you have higher copy of your data, you have more fault tolerance. Here, since you just have your own system, one PC, so our replication factor is 1. But we have, for topic 1, we want to create 3 partitions. And for topic 2, or second topic, we want to create 6 partitions. Again, you can copy and paste from PowerPoint, but I don't recommend. You might get some random error. Just come here. There's a section for creating the topics. Ctrl C. And make another command prompt. Just paste it here and press enter. Right now, the topics are empty because I just create some partitions, and later on, I actually make a data stream. Copy the second command. Again, in one command prompt. If you right click, it pastes there, so you don't have to press Ctrl C. Just do right click. Okay, so far I created 2 empty data streams. So let's see how we can check what we have so far. So there's another command, Kafka Topics Zookeeper 127.21.81 list. It just lists all of the data streams. So if you look at the monitor, I have like first topic, second topic. These are my empty data streams that I create so far. I give you 1 or 2 minutes if you want to put some notes or you have questions, then I go to the next part. So, let me just give you 1 or 2 minutes then. Okay, so with a double dash list, you can see the list of your topics. With describe, you can see characteristics of your data stream. For example, for topic 1 or first topic, you see that it said the name of is first topic, number of partitions 3, replication factor is 1. As you see, the leading copy, the replicas all are 0. It just means I just have one replica because I don't have several brokers. I just have one broker. As for this reason, the leader ID and ISR ID are both 0. Just means there's just one copy. So if I work with in the real environment, first of all, in the real environment, you're working with in the Linux ecosystem. So, and it might be a little different. And on top of that, the only difference is how you install it. The remaining is same. Also, when you have multiple servers, so maybe your leading ID and replica ID is different. But here, or ISR, in-sync, replica, all of them are 0. But in those cases, you see different numbers. Let's do it here. Copy and paste the next command. Copy. Yeah, it just describes basically my first topic. Yeah, put some explanation. Okay. So now let's study consumers. So, I mean, first we should study producer, then a consumer. So copy this line, go to your command prompt, right click here, and press enter. So now I can make my own stream of data. For example, hi. Usually it's hello world. Hello world. The next message is this is the first message. This is the second. This is the third one. This is my own stream of messages or stream of data. This is a very basic part of Kafka, but like in the real case scenario, you don't just make your own messages. So one step could be like one step could be from Twitter, and the one could be stock stream, and the one could be like oil price, gold price, Bitcoin price. So let's say every like 10 seconds you get a one piece of the data. Yeah, this is my, this is a command for creating your own producer. But in a, like when we go to the more advanced part, so let's say there's a Twitter application, you have an incoming stream of data. So that would be your external producer. Oh man, sorry. This is first time I didn't put it in silent. Also, for deleting a topic, this is the command that makes it as marked for deletion. You also need to do some, after running this command, you also need to do some extra thing within the Zookeeper that if you have time, hopefully I tell you later. But since for completely deleting a topic, you need to do something within the Zookeeper. Let's just don't go to that part. But first, you need to mark as a deletion with this command. Then you need to go within Zookeeper environment to do something extra to delete a topic completely. Or look, here we have, go to data. Here, we have each folder is basically a party. You can delete it manually too, but later I'll tell you how to do it through the Zookeeper. But for now, also I don't recommend to do it with Windows. Sometimes it gives you some error. Basically it's a mostly Linux-based development. If you get such error, you need to erase your data folder again and create Kafka and Zookeeper folder again. So don't do it for now, but later on I show you basically how to, hopefully if you have time, I show you how to do it within the Zookeeper. So, but that just basically just mark it for deletion, and later you can do it in Zookeeper. Okay, also you can change the acknowledgement settings of your Kafka topic. You just add the command of producer property, ACKS equal all. It just means your producers check with all of the brokers or consumers if they receive the message or not. So it needs a lot of back and forth communications. Is not the most efficient one, but this is like how you can change those acknowledgement settings. So having said that, now we want to have a very basic experiment. We want to have one consumer, one producer, and just send messages back and forth. So you need to open two command prompt, one for your consumer and the one for producer. Let me see if the codes are here. Okay, let me change the acknowledgement settings. This copy. Yeah, this one is busy, so let me open another command prompt. Yeah, I just made the change. Let's open a command prompt. Okay, now I'm setting up a consumer that gets the data from first topic. Then I also set up a producer. Copy. Let's put them next to each other. Okay, now on the right side I have producer, on the left side I have consumer. Let's just put something. Hello, everyone. Look at the left side. The consumer received that. Another one. Let me just put number 1, 2. So basically, it's how the most basic message communication that you can have in Kafka. So you produce by your own, and you receive your own messages from another Kafka consumer. You might ask, what is the point of that? Yeah, if you have just one consumer, one producer, you don't even have to set up Kafka. You can easily do it. Make a Twitter application with Python, even you don't need Hadoop. But let's say you have like 2,000 resources. It's really hard to make it in Python. So, but in Kafka, each time, so actually for Twitter, those things are different. But let's say you have different producer, you just type one line and just change the maybe consumer ID. And that's it. So you just type 111. So you make those connections, and from your producer part, they can just connect to that and make those communications. So it's not efficient or for 1 or 2 streams of data. Usually it's like for thousands of streams of data. Like for example, Facebook cannot do it through Python, Java, or those kind of things. Those never works. So in the industry level, companies work with the Kafka to be able to manage all of those communications. Let's see how much time we have. We have 5 more minutes. Let's see. So I think we have time for this one too. So you have what you saw here. And here, no, not this one. So all of them, I work with the topic 1. First, I make several lines, but when I open the consumer, it didn't recognize my earlier messages. It just recognized what I start typing, like hello everyone, 1, 2. But also I had other messages I already created in Kafka. So how to reach the previous messages that you missed is through this command. So you just add from beginning. It just means connect to the topic 1 and get everything from beginning. So let's see how it happens. You copy, go to your CMD. Look, now I have other information, like this is the second message, this is the first message. So I cannot see your faces, but it seems you have some questions. What happened? Does it make sense? What does from beginning means? Yeah, the order is messed up. There's other commands you can fix it later, but from beginning just basically dig everything that you missed and put. But I know the order like doesn't make sense here. Yeah, I mean later on the step by step just make it more complex. You want to then how it, even for deletion, as I said, that command is not enough. So you need to go to Zookeeper to do something extra. Yeah, I think we ran out of time. So fortunately or unfortunately, next Wednesday we have a break. But again, I want you guys to learn more about Kafka. I upload, maybe not this Wednesday, but I will upload some extra thing about Kafka. So in case you can just keep working with that. But this is a very practical concept, especially if you end up very large institutions. Or even let's say, even you want to be a day trader, you have several data resources that you need to manage them together and make a data set and then process it. I think still Kafka could be useful. But again, for 1 or 2 streams of data, Python is more than enough. Even you don't have to do it in Spark. Cool. That's for today. Thank you very much. So next week, you have presentation. I think we have class on Monday. So if you present in the class, that's much better because I can see your issues and comment on it. You don't have to present on next Monday. You can send a video later, even you have to every 2 days there. But if you send it later and I put some comments, you probably don't have time to fix it. But if you present on Monday or send me the file sooner, I can just put some comments. Also, I'm going to share some last year presentations. So I gave them some comments. You can check how was my comments. Also, I think that so you also can register for some if you graduated. It's not just Bitcoin. Actually, it's the cryptocurrency and blockchain. First part, you learn how to basically make those accounts, how to know which coin is better and know about technology. Second part is much more even technical than this course. You create your own blockchain and your own coin. The good part about it, if you do actual trading, so we should decide about that, but you could be among those people can trade with each other through a coin. So maybe you make something funny and just put a website and your friends can pay the cryptocurrency and get it from you. Huh? You can do your NFTs too, but I'm not sure if I'm not a fan of NFTs actually. These for my own reasons, but some people love it. That's totally fine. I just have my point of view. But again, that's actually a practical class. It's not just you learn some concept. You can, again, first half is for people who don't want to be very technical. Second part is very technical, and the good thing about this course, usually if you take those courses, they don't tell you what is the technology behind of it and how those hashing functions and transaction function actually works. If you know the technology, even later on, if you want to buy a coin or invest in it, you have a good knowledge. What do they mean? Cool. Thank you very much. It was a really good semester. Next week, I'm waiting for your presentations. Usually, people get a good grade in this course, but give me good reason for having that. So do your best for your presentation. We don't have any final exam. Huh? Okay, just press Ctrl+C. Yeah, Y. Here, Ctrl+C. Then Y, and it just go to to the default. Everything, yeah.